Welcome to our tutorial for creating an electrical device hierarchy. We will create a device hierarchy in two steps. First, we create a logical hierarchy, and then we add physical devices from the database to it. For creating the hierarchy, we go to the point device hierarchy and say new. Now we enter the name, maybe hierarchy 1. And when we now select this hierarchy, we already have a default device hierarchy down here. The logical default structure has a string inverter, and if we now maybe want to add a combiner box for creating a central inverter hierarchy, we select the string and we say add combiner box. As you can see, there's a combiner box and a cable entry put in above the string entry. Now we already have finished our logical hierarchy, and we can go adding devices from the database to this logical hierarchy. The module is already selected because we only used this module definition in the drawing. So we go to the grid, select it and say add entry. Here's a new entry for the grid collection. And we can select a special device from the database, for example our demo grid. Now we go to each of the collections and add devices. We select the cable, push add entry, and select our bigger demo cable. We select the transformer, add a transformer, demo transformer. Go to the next cable entry. We go to the inverter, select our demo inverter. Go to the combiner box. So now we see something is different about this entry. The combiner box is still red because it's not yet used in the string definition, so the device hierarchy is not completed at this point. Later, when we add the combiner box to the string definition, this entry will turn black, so we get an optical feedback that this part is completed then. On this side of the combiner box, maybe we can use other cables. So we select the small one, or maybe we can also come here, reselect the cable and add another entry, the big one. So that's why we use collections all over the logical hierarchy. And here again we use both types. So in the future, Helios will be able to consider it on its own what cable has to be used. Our last point is the string definition, because for creating a string definition we need to be a combiner box already selected. When we now add an entry here, the dialog for string definition appears. We can add a name, 2rec string, because we will build up a string for 2 recs. And here we first start in quick and easy mode, because as it says it's a little bit easier. We select an array definition. There's just one used in this planning. And as our name says, we want to create a string above 2 recs. So because we are in quick and easy mode, the module count goes in steps of 20 modules, because each rec has 20 modules. If we would now go to expert mode, we would get some more options here. We can set the number of rows and the module count as a new step width. We can also wire parts of a rec. In the middle we can set, for example, the number of string groups. I set this to 2. So later, when we push the autofill button, Helios will automatically place 2 wires on the string definition. We will see what will happen then later. In expert mode, we would have some more options here. We could set the count of strings and the length of the strings. At the moment, the length of the strings is 20 modules, so each wire would be long enough to connect one row of modules. We could also set it to 40. Then we could select the first string and we could set up a wiring by hand manually. For example, we could select the first module, we push the shift key and go to the last module of the row. Then we could select the lower module. Again, we push the shift key and we go to the last module. And now we have a wire with a length of 40 modules, which connects the complete string definition. This is just an example for a manual wiring. We can set this back, and we could also make something completely, well, maybe weird, like this one. For wiring more than one module at the same time, we can press the shift key again and maybe go here. So just to give you an example. Here we can delete the current wiring and we set this back to 20 and we go back to quick and easy mode because it will fit for the string definition. The last thing we have to do is we have to select a combiner box. Here again we have just one entry because we added just one combiner box to our device hierarchy. And now we can also say autofill, and Helios will create a string definition on its own with the parameters we just set. When we now push OK and close this dialog, as I already said, the combiner box switched to black, so we get an optical feedback that this part of the device hierarchy is OK now. Now we can go on creating device areas in the next tutorial.